All right, joining me right now is Kyle Daukaus, UFC middleweight. Kyle, it's good to see your face, man. How are you doing in this new year?
Doing pretty good. It's going good so far. So
That's good to hear, man. Now, a couple weeks ago, I know you weren't a big fan of this, but I wanted to ask you about it. The
yeah.
UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya chased history against Jan Blachowicz, and he came up short. Who were
Yeah.
you rooting for?
Honestly, I was rooting for Jan. Um, I'm not a big fan of the whole thing of the guys going up in weight classes and stuff. But if you watch the fight, like you kind of expect what happened to happen. So it was a good game plan by Jan. I think if he would have looked to take him down earlier, he would have finished him. But that's the name of the game.
Yeah, it is. It is the name of the game, and
Yeah.
I picked Jan to win that fight just because of
Mhm.
that versatility and that size, man. You're facing a
Yeah.
guy that's 20 pounds heavier, probably much heavier than 20 pounds. He's
Oh
basically a
yeah,
heavyweight.
definitely. Yeah. And these guys don't realize that these guys are cutting so much weight.
Mhm.
Like guys like me who are kind of on the bigger side of middleweight are cutting from 210, and he's probably cutting from like 240 to go to 205. So it's crazy to think about, and to think about that Izzy weighed in at 200.5 pounds or 201 and a half, like it's wild.
Yeah, it is. And I think a lot of people, if you don't meet some of the fighters in person, you don't
Mhm.
realize how big they are. Because when people see you in the octagon, right, they kind of look at you and say,
Yeah,
"Oh, this is a slim guy. He's a slim 185er." But really, probably if I met you in person, I'd be like, "Who's this giant?"
yeah, that's what everybody says. Like for me, everybody says outside of the octagon, like in real person, they're like, you're a lot bigger than you look. And I'm like, yeah, like I don't realize I'm that big. Like in my honest opinion, like the pictures that I see of myself, like I'm not as big as I don't think I'm as big as I am, but I am. But and I think that kind of helps too, because when I see the guys that are in my division that are considered bigger in person, they're not as big as I thought they were. So it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing.
Have you ran into anybody that you thought was like small, but they were just massive?
The guy that fought on my brother's car, the heavyweight, um, Sergey Spivak, I think it is. Is
Yeah,
that him?
yeah, yeah.
That's his
Spivak.
name. Yeah, he's a lot bigger than I thought. Like I
Mhm.
saw him in person, and I was like, yeah, that's a big guy. And he doesn't walk around that big either. I don't think. I think he walks around like 230, if that. So yeah, that was a big surprise. That's like the only like guy I was really like. I was like, I had to take a step back, and I was like, oh, he's a lot bigger than he looks.
Anybody on the opposite spectrum, like you thought they were bigger than they were, and when you met them, they were just tiny?
Um, I guess like on my card, I fought Poirier and Hooker, and they were both weren't as big as I thought they were going to be. Hooker was just like tall and lanky, but I'd expect him to be a lot bigger. But nah,
Yeah, I think Hooker, when he stands next to some of the lightweights, he just makes him
he
look
just looks
bigger
bigger
just
because he's
because of,
taller.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Now, on that same night, Peter Yan was DQ'd against
Mhm.
Aljamain Sterling for a illegal knee. The next
yeah,
weekend, Leon Edwards, the eye poke that went into
yeah.
a no contest. Man, do we need to change some rules and regulations in this sport? Do you think we're seeing something that we need to change?
Um, I think that in my honest opinion, I'm a fan of 12 to 6 elbows. I'm fine with that. Throw that as much as you want, and I like knees to the face on the ground. Like I just think it's another thing you have to worry about. Soccer kicks and stuff. I mean, sure, why not? Like it's fine. It's fine with me. Like I'm gonna get kneed standing. I'm gonna get elbowed standing. I'm gonna get punched and kicked standing. Why not just have the same thing on the ground? But the rule set that the commissions have now, uh, it bothers me because the UFC is like, oh, we adopted a new rule set. These are going to be the new rules, but the states don't have to, or the countries don't have to. Like when you fight in Nevada, it could be different if you fight in Pennsylvania. So I think it just needs like everybody just needs to agree with one thing. They need to agree with one rule set and just stick to it. I think like the whole like if my hands down, I can't get kneed, and if my fingers, but if like my fingers are on the mat, then I can get kneed. Like we need to just make it flat, like a flat rule. Like you can knee at any time, you can elbow at any time, any position, anything. And as far as the eye pokes and stuff like that go, getting new gloves is kind of tough. I think that's just I don't know. It's. I mean, they tell you to keep your hand up and away from your partner's like face and eyes and stuff, but it's just tough when you're in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, man, that's something that I understand from a fighter's perspective is like when the ref says get your hands like fingers up. That's a weird
Yeah,
position to put your hand, right? Because you need to be able to punch somebody if you have your hand out. So it's just
yeah, and
natural to put
guarding.
your fingers out.
Yeah, and even if you're like blocking or trying to like guard or stuff, your hands open. You just kind of like block and then like reach away.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just happens. So I think those are just like freak accidents and stuff.
Yeah, his eye was messed up, man. He was
Yeah, that
bleeding.
like picture that like picture they have of his like finger in his eye is disgusting.
Yeah,
But ugh.
some people are just nasty. They want to take the
Yeah.
picture and blow it up and then put it all
Oh
online.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
do we need to see that?
yeah. No, definitely not.
All right, let's revisit UFC 255. You got your first UFC victory. You know, although you were coming off a dominant performance, it seemed like you weren't too satisfied with it. It wasn't your best performance. You know, what did you feel you needed to work on moving forward?
I guess like everything. I think I'm my biggest critic. Anybody in my family that you ask, they'll tell you. Like, if you look at me after the fight, I wasn't happy. I was miserable. Like, I mean, I was happy that I won. Yeah, I won. I was in the UFC. Got my first win. But I'm my biggest critic. I go back. I watched the fight once, and like, I just like cringe at the things that I do. Like, I know that I'm so much better than the way I perform in the cage, and I have to get that the way I perform in the cage to be the same way as I'm performing in the gym. And I think that's like my toughest like transfer. But I just have to keep working, and it just comes with experience, I guess.
The criticism, you know, the self criticism, that must help in keeping yourself not complacent in your training.
Yeah, I would. I think it does, but it also drives me kind of crazy at the same time because I'm so like fixated on being perfect that I could just like focus too much on one thing and not focus on another thing. So I mean, it's kind of like a good thing and a bad thing.
All right. In your post fight presser after the fight, you said you wanted to take your girlfriend to Disney World. Did you end up doing that?
Yeah, no, not yet. Not yet. We bought a house in October before the fight, and the house needed a lot of renovations and stuff. So we kind of put all that stuff on hold. We should be in there in probably like a week or two. They're like finishing up the floors now, and then we should be able to like move our furniture and stuff in there on Monday. So once we're moved in, we're settled in, I get this fight over with. After this fight, we're gonna go to Disney.
Did you make a man cave, or is that something part of the house?
Yeah, we actually talked about it. She teaches, so she's a first grade teacher. So like with the whole guidelines and stuff here in PA, schools are virtual. But she's also in class like during the week, and then Fridays are virtual. So we have a small bedroom in there that's going to be her office, and then I'm going to have the basement. So the whole basement is going to be mine. We'll like design it all like fighting wise. I'll bring my games down there so I can game the whole time in between training sessions and watch the fights with the guys on Saturday nights. So
man, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Like, don't bother me. Like
Nah.
got the door closed. You're like a teenager again.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Your upcoming fight, UFC on ABC 2. You're facing Khizriev. I believe I'm saying it right. He's an undefeated Russian. What is your breakdown of him?
He's just a typical, Dagestan wrestler guy. He comes out. He doesn't strike too heavily. He likes to strike. He likes to throw a lot of volume just so you can return, and then he can shoot for a takedown. That's pretty much every Dagestan style in a way. But when he is on top, he doesn't seem like he's too heavy on top. His punches don't seem like they're too heavy either. He just likes to move and just kind of overwhelm you with shots. But his last fight was a contender series fight. It was his first fight at 85. Prior to that, I don't think he fought for like 2 years, or like a year or two maybe. And all of his other fights are at 170, so it was coming up. The guy that he fought in the contender series wasn't a big 85er. I'm towards the bigger side on 85. So I'm just excited to get in there and just show like my size, my strength, and put his record to the test.
I believe he's 5'8", 5'9", something like that. You're 6'3". Is that the biggest height difference you have ever faced?
No, I don't know. I fought a guy in I think it was my third or fourth professional fight. It was Kyle Walker. He lost to Dylan Dennis as well. He fought me actually just before that. He's like 5'6", 5'5", 5'6", I think. And It was like I dropped him, he got up, I dart stroked him, and that was it. It was over. You know, it was a quick fight. But the guys that I train with at the gym are all 5'8", 5'9". So my head coach, who's Bellator vet, he's one of the toughest guys in the entire world. He's 5'9", and he's a savage, and he comes after me every single time. And I know that if I can move him around, I can move anybody around. So
punching down and kicking a shorter opponent, is there advantages that?
I don't like to. I would say no, but I have a different like mindset on that. I don't punch down. What I'm just gonna do is just lower my level. So I'm gonna keep my like I'm gonna just like drop my hips a little bit, widen my stance out a little bit. That way we're eye level with each other. But it's like if you put a ladder, you know, sideways, my strikes are gonna be longer, and my kicks, my punches, everything's gonna be longer. So that's how I'm gonna be fighting these smaller guys that I fight. I mean, I did that against Webb when I fought Webb as well. I had a wider, lower stance because I knew that he liked to take down, and I knew he was smaller. So I'm kind of used to it as of right now.
In that stance, do you feel like you're able to dig deeper into your strikes?
Yeah, definitely. I think so because my feet are more grounded. My whole body is lower. My center of gravity is lower. So I feel like when I land these shots, it's going to be a lot harder than if I was to fight a guy who was my size or so, because I'm standing up more a little bit.
I talk to a lot of wrestling coaches. Those are some of the best coaches to talk to because they kind of educate me on a lot of things. And one thing they educated me on is that if you're a taller, linkier fighter, you have advantages in the wrestling because you're so long that if a guy jumps in a like a power double, if you sprawl, it's hard to follow through. Have you felt that, you know, wrestling with guys throughout the years?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of these guys get like deep in on my hips, but because my legs are so long and I have like okay balance, when they drive, I'm still kind of like walking back because even though they lift, like my size and my long legs are still kind of on the ground, and it gives me time to switch my hips and then sprawl out. But then again, that transfers over as well, like on the ground too. Like my long limbs will help me get to different positions and hold them in positions, but it could also, you know, be a bad thing too, because if I get on the ground and the guy's like really, really tight and snug, sorry, are we good? I'm sorry. That was my phone battery. If the guy is like nice and snug and tight on me, like because I'm so tall and lanky, I can't get my limbs like into certain positions or scramble or anything like that. So it has its perks and not so much. So.
All right. Any alterations in your training this time around?
I'm not running as much. My knees are kind of getting worn out from running so much. So taking it easy on that. I have an assault bike here that I do just get my sprints in through that. That's pretty much it. I'm just kind of focusing more on like my recovery and stuff. And I took tonight off from training. You know, you feel a little overtrained, so you need to take the nights off. And I think that's what guys don't understand in this sport is that you need to be able to rest and tell yourself to take a day off as opposed to just doing that grind.
All right. So how do you see yourself picking up your second victory in the Octagon?
I'm going to say it's going to be the second round TKO. I think that the way I'm going to come out, I'm going to pressure him. He's going to wrestle a ton. He's going to get tired and gas, and he's going to come out in the second round not wanting any of this. And I'm just going to keep putting it on every single round. I've been working on my cardio. I've been working on my striking, my strength, my conditioning, everything. And I don't really think that he's going to have an answer for anything that I'm bringing into that cage on April 10th.
All right. Now, one last thing. You know, it looks like that you're going to be on the main card that's broadcasted on ABC. That's big, man. ABC.
It's crazy. It's I actually, when was it? 2 days ago or yesterday morning, I got a text message from my brother that said like main event, like not main event, like main card, big time or something like that. And I was like confused on what it was, and I was looking at it and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that has me on the main card. So I looked at at one of the guys that I follow. He posts like the cards, and one of my name was in blue. And if you look in the bottom corner, it says like confirmed main event. Not main event, Jesus. Main card spots. And I was like, that's weird. That's my name. I was like, I didn't like it was too big. It's too big of a card for me to be on the main card. So I go to the UFC website and I see I'm the co-main. I'm like the third to last fight. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that. Like I understand that my brother's done well. He's number top 10 heavyweight. So maybe they're trying to push me now. I mean, maybe they're trying to push this whole brother thing. It would be nice. it will be awesome for us both to be in the top like divisions of our sport and just climb the ranks together and get the belts. But it's crazy that it's like ABC. You know, I used to sit upstairs with my grandma watching ABC all the time on TV. Like it's and now I'm gonna be fighting on there. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Man. It's wonderful, man. April 10th,
yeah.
UFC on ABC 2. Kyle, always good catching up with you, man. Good luck and all the best.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.